In this video, we are going to be looking at a couple of solutions to the error. The error transaction context in use by another session occurred when executing the following SQL. So before we get into the solutions here, I wanted to kind of explain the context because it would make sense if somebody explained it to me initially, because it does seem very confusing. So the context here is that we're running a transaction on my link server dot my other database. Now keep this in mind because when I say my linked server, it sounds like we're running it against a link server, but we're actually on the server that's called link server. So that's why I have the Kangaroo SQL up here. Let's pretend that our server is called Kangaroo server. This is what I'm referring to as my link server. So when we run this below query, we're still on this Kangaroo SQL server, right? So even though it's my link server, and again, I realize that makes it seem like it's a link server, we're actually on that server. That's the link server. That's where I can totally understand someone's confusion, like, wait, you're running a link server query, but you're on that server. Yes. So, yeah, it's pretty, one of the solutions is to, not use the link server or to put it here if it's not required, okay? So we have the count from my column, my database, my schema, my table, where my column is greater than 5. So here's the query that we're running just as an example, and of course we're getting this error. And this error immediately goes away if we remove this from my link server.mydatabase.myschema.mytable, and we just say mydatabase.myschema.mytable, right? Yes, we're running a transaction on my other database, but since we're on the same server here, we can just specify the database. We don't have to specify the server because we're already on that server, right? So that is one potential solution. However, I know some of you are going to say, well, that wouldn't work for me because there is a context in which we actually have to specify the link server, and I totally understand. I'm not going to go into details, but there are some environments that they're configured that way, and there's a reason why. And so, one of them, by the way, provided by Microsoft would be like a clustering setup. You might need to do it that way. So another way to do this is if you're specifying the information in a connection string. So we're looking at an ADO.NET connection string. So we have our standard data source equals my link server, initial catalog, my other database, integrated security equals true, and multiple active result sets equals false. So, and because if we have this set to false here, and we're running this query, that will still return. We won't see this error. Okay, so that's one of the other solutions if we can specify in the ADO.NET connection string. So we might not be able to do that, which is one of the context here that I was looking at. But if we can, this is one way around this error as well. Again, if we're not able to use this solution, and if we're not able to use this solution, then we can do this. This will actually get around the error as well. We can set on the transaction level, set transaction isolation level to read uncommitted. Now, again, in some environments, this may not be what you want to do anyway, right? Like you may want multiple active result sets to be true, right? So this might not be appropriate for your environment. Likewise, this might not be appropriate for your environment as well. So it's not like these are the only three solutions that you can choose, because there are going to be those situations where let's say there's an environment where all three of these wouldn't apply. However, one of these may function in your environment. And of course, keep in mind that we are looking at SQL Server 2016 here in this context, and this video is being recorded in 2020, May 2020. Keep that in mind. And the reason why I say that is because one thing that I have seen, and it's true in past videos, this YouTube channel has been around now for about 7 years, and that is some people will point out that there's something that's changed. Maybe there was a patch that fixed it. Maybe there's this is no longer an issue in future versions of SQL Server that you're using. And so it's always hard to know if these solutions will be good in the future or if they will definitely not be good. But anyway, this is one of those that you have three potential solutions, and depending on your environment, this would be the first one I would start with. If we don't have to specify the link server, then I would definitely not do that. However, I understand there are those environments where you have to do that.